Kylo Ren putting the mask back on? What? Why would they do this to us? Cover up Adam Driver's face. How dare they? I guess we have to talk about that. Welcome back, everybody. This is the Resistance Broadcast. I'm John Hoey. Thanks so much for joining us today on Monday, the week of Star Wars Celebration, which means this is our last show, technically, before Star Wars Celebration starts. So this is the last time we're going to be talking before we are in Chicago. We will have an episode on Thursday with a special guest that you may have heard about on our Twitters, DJ Elliott. But today, guys, it is our news show. So we're going to talk about stuff like Kylo Ren putting his mask back together and what you guys think about that and our poll results. Also, Mandalorian rumors, which I guess in less than a week from now, we'll see if some of those are true or not. And we're going to talk more about our panel at Star Wars Celebration and get to some of your questions. And we also have a Patreon pod race from one of our generals, Carmelo, that we'll get to a little later too. But right now, let's bring in the leaders of the Resistance, my lovely, lovely cohorts. Is it cohorts? Is that a thing too? James and Lacey, guys, it is the week of celebration. We're going to be hanging out together in 2 days.
Dang.
How are you guys?
Yeah, this is going to be a packed episode for sure. Man, yeah, it's gonna be crazy. I actually want to give a tip to anybody that meets John Hoey at Star Wars Celebration. He has this weird thing. He really likes it if you eat potato chips near or around him, like really close. He'll think it's really cool.
Unreal.
God. I'll explain a little bit more on that in a minute. Lacey, what is happening?
Nothing much, John. I want to know why you're reading my tweets at the beginning of the show, and those are copyrighted.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that probably sounded like one of your tweets. That makes sense.
Why are you reading my thoughts?
Well, if I use any GIF that you post, I promise I'll give credit. That's for sure.
Whoa.
James, so yeah, before we recorded, I'll just let you guys know right now because you're our friends out there. James was deliberately slowly putting potato chips, and they sounded like kettle chips, those really loud ones.
ASMR.
With his mouth right by the microphone, and it was crunching, and it was just like rattling my brain.
I was asking him questions, and then when he would start to answer, I would go for it, just as like a total. I'm totally completely aware. It wasn't just me being rude.
It was like those Kit Kat commercials where people are just constantly biting things. It just drives me up a wall.
Very weirdly specific.
Some people have that auditory thing where they hate hearing people chew food, and I got it apparently. So James just let the cat out of the bag. If you want to tick me off at Celebration, that's probably what you got to do. All right, guys. So I'm excited about this episode. One, because it's really it's our last one before we party it up in Chicago. The first time the three of us will ever be together. So this might be the last the last time we survive before we hang out. But we have a lot to talk about. And of course, as always, we have the poll results. So let's check out what you guys had to say right now. We asked you guys, do you like the idea of Kylo Ren having his helmet/mask back in Star Wars Episode 9? And we gave you guys 3 options. Spread out the wings there a little bit. So the least vote was 10% of you said not sure. And we asked you to comment why. And of course, we have the best comment coming up later. 23% said no, I don't like that idea at all. And 2 out of every 3 of you out there said yes. Yes, put the mask back on. We like the Kylo Ren mask. Look how old you've become. You know, like that sound, we dig it. And I'm on board with that. Guys, did you vote yes, no, not sure? I think I know which way Lacey voted. So we'll start with James. Where'd you vote and what'd you think of the results, man?
Absolutely, yes. And I actually tweeted this out, and I was wondering if it was going to get fire, and nothing ever really happened from it. But I was like, yes, less Adam Driver, more Kylo Ren.
Oh yeah, that was like the world on
my
fire.
goodness.
Yeah, which I got a couple responses that are like, but Adam Driver plays Kylo Ren or whatever, and I'm like, no, I'm trying to go for the whole like the fans that are behind just it being Adam Driver exclusively. I'm like, no, the character though, Kylo Ren, putting that mask back on, it's like having Empire Strikes Back with Darth Vader without his mask. It's like, nah, man, put the mask back on.
Yeah.
Or something. So yeah, I'm really excited. We talked about what we want for the teaser kind of thing, and that whole like the process of putting that mask back on would be so awesome.
Yeah.
Lacey.
And also the prospect of him putting that thing back together, like using the Force or something. I know which way Lacey voted. James, which way did Lacey vote?
She put not sure.
Everyone's going to be like super surprised. I said no.
Oh.
No way.
Yeah, but Lacey, you can see Adam Driver playing a cop killing zombies, so it's okay.
Doesn't matter. It's not Kylo Ren.
Oh, okay. All right. So you voted no. What? Just because of The Last Jedi and the transition of him destroying you? What's the deal there?
Adam Driver is a wonderful actor, and he portrays a lot of emotion and range with his facial features. Therefore, I want to see his facial features to have a better understanding of what Ben Solo is going through, and I can't do that when he's under a mask. So I hope he puts it back on and then swiftly takes it back off.
Okay. Now, would it matter if Adam Driver looked like Steve Buscemi?
Oh my God, let's not play this game tonight.
I'm just kidding. I just want to
I do understand what she's saying. It's like
it's
the whole like why bring in Gwendolyn Christie when you know what I mean kind of thing.
Right. So like the scene where he's in the elevator where he's about to smash the mask.
Yeah.
There is about a 5-second clip where it's super into his face, and you see a range of emotion of him breathing through his nostrils. His eye, he's like really focused. He looks like he's gonna cry. It's like so much stuff going over his face, and then it's just full on anger. Like I love that about him. I think honestly he's carrying the sequel trilogy. I think he's wonderful. And there's a reason he was nominated for an Oscar, which hopefully he'll be nominated for another one. And I'll see the zombie movie.
I do understand your argument. Absolutely. So
yeah.
No, I thought you were gonna go there. Let's go somewhere with that, James. But that was it.
Yeah,
All
he
right.
was just like so.
No, I agree. I mean, I joke about Adam Driver. I joke about Kylo Ren, I should say, with Lacey just to get under her skin sometimes. But even before Lacey was on the podcast, you guys know I was the one who've been a huge Kylo Ren fan and Adam Driver fan.
Ben. Okay.
Oh, I see what you did there. Yeah. So I agree. I think we will see him obviously with both. But I do dig the mask coming back.
I think this is a play at the Han and Leia in TFA where they say that they go back to the one thing they were good at.
Yeah,
so you have Rey with her staff going to a desert planet. You have Kylo putting his mask back on. I think that's very.
And Finn's going to become a stormtrooper again. he's like, you know what? Screw you guys. I never got hurt when I was a stormtrooper.
Poe turns himself back into the First Order.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Oh my
All right, guys. So we had a best
There goes my good
comment.
point.
And this was Andrew Lupi at Lupi15.
Love Andrew. Hey, Andrew.
And apparently he knows about Danbury, Connecticut. So there you go, Andrew.
Go to Stu Leonard's.
Stu Leonard's, yeah. No, go to Costco.
Anyway.
Better free samples there. Andrew said yes. He's all about the mask. I think it can come to symbolize him finally saying no to Snoke, who mocked him for it, and being his own man. I don't know if that means the struggle of good versus bad in him is over, but the struggle of needing to please Snoke certainly is. And I think that's a good comment. It got a lot of likes, so it was well thought out. So thank you for that, Andrew. And we will see you at Celebration in a few days, man. So come say hi. Guys, that is it for the poll results, which means no more poll results until after Celebration. So we'll have a lot to make polls about. But until then...
Oh, my God.
It's Resistance Report time. James Baney, what do we got cooking, man?
It's the resistance.
The Mandalorian. Do you guys think it's The Mandalorian or The Mandalorian?
I don't know. Is
The
it Hyatt or
Mandalorian.
Hyatt?
Yeah. This week we got a lot of news coming out of this from a very specific person in the Star Wars Leaks subreddit. This is not just any normal whatever person coming in. This is actually kind of the moderator, the person who oversees all of this stuff, and he's hearing certain things that he wanted to get out before the Mandalorian panel at Star Wars Celebration, because he wanted to showcase that the leaks, have a place and they have a purpose. So he put out this report that said, definitely all this that I'm about to tell you, definitely Bosk is going to be in it. Definitely Dengar is going to be in it. Definitely Zuckuss is going to be in it. He also said that IG-88 is in fact the IG droid seen in the photo, and that Taika Waititi is actually voicing IG-88. So he's confirming that. He also said that it's more so that this could be a little bit of a twist on the classic kind of concept of the character, that IG-88 would be like a funny sort of companion to the main character, the Mandalorian character. Also in this, it's crazy. I actually put out quite a lot. Gina Carano's role, the character is going to have long, dark hair. She's going to wear a suit that's dark gray in color with a turquoise belt and gauntlet. There's a blacksmith character that's sort of like a Q to James Bond, sort of like providing weapons and things like that. Most of the show is going to take place on Tatooine, but there also is a foresty Kashyyyk type of planet where Gina's character is seen in some artwork and stuff. So they're saying that she's going to be on that planet mostly. There's a bunch of alien species that they've mentioned. If you want to go into that, you can look into all that stuff. It's just like things that they've seen here and there. They're also saying TIE fighters with flamethrowers. They're saying there's these new specific type of droids that show up, and
I'm just waiting for you to be like Stefan on SNL, where you're like, this show has everything. Flame-throwing TIE figers, multiple aliens, a forest planet.
That's exactly right. And I think that coming out of Celebration, while you're not going to be able to escape Episode 9, that will be the big headliner. I think the big unexpected talk of everything is going to be The Mandalorian, because of all the stuff that we're hearing about it. It is going to be awesome. And the fact that we're getting season 1, I think they might show
an episode at the panel, to be honest.
But it could be like 40-minute episodes. So I don't know. Yeah. But
first 15 minutes.
The season 1 is coming, but it looks like our friends over at HN Entertainment are also breaking a story that says the second season is going to be renewed. Like, they're going to renew the show. It will get a second season, which also kind of shows more about Disney Plus and what they're planning. It's not all one-off stuff. So big news coming out of The Mandalorian. And we only have a couple more days, a little less than a week before we find out if a lot of this stuff is true. But the way that this Jedi Paxis, the moderator, is reporting it, you can what do we say, book it.
Yeah, book it.
We could say book it. That's a big topic on our Patreon chat.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Lacey, I want to hear your thoughts on this first, because you are a big Mandalorian fan. You're really looking forward to this show.
I mean, I am looking forward to it. I don't know what to say, James. You just talked for like 10 minutes and said everything that's going to happen in this show, so I'm not really sure what to say. However, I will say that Netflix usually always produces 2 seasons, because they don't want viewers. And this is coming from someone, like, one of my closest friends works with a company that does just distribution deals with Netflix. So no, that's not a name drop. I'm giving background to my answer. So then the reason I'm saying that is because Netflix tends to always do 2 seasons because they don't want viewers to think that a show is unsuccessful. So they'll do 2 seasons so that everybody has at least a second season to maybe get into it, and then they'll continue if they want to go on. So all their shows generally have 2 seasons, and that's why. So I could see them following a similar model that they'll do 2 seasons no matter what, just to make it look like, oh, this was such a hit. Which then creates buzz and gets people talking about it, which then might get more people interested. I mean, the one I always think about, like for TV shows that got a huge buzz by word of mouth, is always going to be Stranger Things. That was one of that shows that like you didn't really know anything about it, and then all of a sudden everyone was talking about it. I think that this show definitely carries a certain weight to it because it is a Star Wars show. It is from Jon Favreau. Dave Filoni's involved. Taika Waititi's involved. All these people are involved, and just everything coming out of it looks original trilogy, obviously. So you have those fans that maybe are kind of like, Disney Star Wars, but they're seeing the stuff coming out of this, and they're like, I'm going to give it a shot. So I think that I'm not surprised they're doing a second season. I think this show is going to be crazy awesome, and that it deserves a second season already.
So does it interest you at all that like it's Bosk, it's Dengar?
Sure. I mean,
Zuckuss.
I'm not a huge fan of the bounty hunters. I think Boba Fett is like totally overrated, and I've said that before. So I'm sorry if anybody's a fan of him. Just a personal opinion. But I think it's a side of Star Wars that we haven't really gotten into. Like, we get glimpses here and there throughout the movies about them, so it would be really cool to see that, like, dark, seedy underworld side of Star Wars, which we get in Solo with Crimson Dawn. I'd love to see that side of Star Wars, and it sounds like we're getting kind of an anti-hero, which in Star Wars we get all the heroes. Maybe it's time to see the other side, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely into. We've seen Bosk and we've seen Dengar and other mediums, whether like it's the animated stuff or some of the books and things. So it's going to be interesting to actually see like a live action version of this character come to life. And so in a lot of ways, it's almost like The Empire Strikes Back is kind of getting a spin-off show. Yeah. And that I think you're nailing it. It's for the people that say, hey, you know what? We made Resistance, Star Wars Resistance. We hear your feedback. We're also making The Mandalorian, you know, for that crowd. John, is any of this exciting? Is this stuff that makes sense to you with IG-88 and the flipping of what we might have perceived that character to be? All the stuff with Gina Carano, does that make sense to you?
I don't know. I was so skeptical, and I'd never believed that this was a real rumor that this was going to be the series. And I admit that last year I was like, there's no friggin' way they're doing a show.
We both said that.
Yeah, The Mandalorian with and it's not Boba Fett. Like, that didn't make sense to me. But now that obviously it's legit and you just start hearing things, and as long, you know, if these rumors are true, I tweeted about it. It sounds like a really awesome idea because you want some kind of familiar beats, and a lot of diehard fans, for whatever reason, latch on to the bounty hunters because it's different. It's different than saying, I like Yoda, I like Han Solo, I like Luke Skywalker. It's like, no, I like that weird lizard character in the yellow jumpsuit because not a lot of people do. And I bought that action figure, and that's my guy, you know?
Right.
And they create their own headcanon for them. And like that loops in old fans, like Lacey said, and brings them up into with the new fans. And then in terms of like, I don't know. Like, I think we'll see Boba Fett in this series at some point. I really do. I would not be shocked, and I've said this on the podcast before, if the last episode of season 1 is a cliffhanger and he shows up. That would be very interesting to me. It's a way to finally get him back in after years and years of rumors of projects stopping and going with Boba Fett. Maybe this is his entry back in.
Not to mention people who feel maybe burned out on the like, oh, they got rid of the old canon stuff. Boba Fett really thrived there. And then they're like, oh, they're making a new show called The Mandalorian. There's no Boba Fett. Forget that. And then like when they hear that he's in the show, they're like, all right, here you go, Disney, $9.99 for you know what
exactly.
I mean? Like,
right.
I gotta see this.
And you know, the other thing, the second season thing, you know, we had seen in those leaks about season 1 wrapping that the apparel of a lot of the crew members said season 1 on the apparel. So if you don't put season 1 on there, if you think it may be a one-off, you just say The Mandalorian. So I think they had it in mind while they were in production that this is a story we're going to be telling over the course of more than 8 episodes or whatever. And the fact that they have the sets built in California, they maintain those sets, and that's the biggest part of production. They don't need to build new sets. They return there, they go back. The expenses aren't as high. It's going to be a moneymaker without much of a budget, and we know what budgets meant to Solo and how much that hurt Solo. You have the actor probably only doing voice stuff. You probably have a stuntman in the mask who was only doing limited time. You have to pay him with the mask off. A lot of this makes sense for the season 2, in addition to what Lacey said about them usually doing a 2-season type of thing. So the biggest part that makes sense to me about these 2 rumors are that season 2 is happening. That seems like a no-brainer to me for all those reasons, especially the sets being already built and established. They don't need to rebuild new sets. And then this other stuff, adding the bounty hunters, it just makes way too much sense because, like I said, you want to bring some familiar beats in to bring the fans who don't necessarily maybe care about a random character they don't know. So you need to meld everything in to attract everybody.
I think all of this just makes so much sense when Jon Favreau was asked, have you already written the episodes? And he goes, "Oh, I've been writing these episodes since I was, a little boy. Yeah,
since I was 6 years old."
Didn't he say 13? Right, like middle school? He said
maybe something like that. But if you start to piece it together, it's like this is The Empire Strikes Back Jon Favreau. That's like. He has the toys and he's playing with the bounty hunters.
Yeah.
And to then be offered the show, hey, we want you to do a Star Wars show. And he's like, I already know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And he's like, it's called the Boba Fett show. And they're like, hold on. He's like, all right, fine. It's called The Mandalorian Show, but it's got Bossk, Dengar, Zuckuss, every other character that I can use that I wanted to use that I can't wait to bring to life. All of that is so crazy. Where are they going to be? Tatooine, baby. That's where I'm going, Also, that I think is interesting as well. The fact that the show takes place on Tatooine at a specific time. Well, yeah, I understand. But they're saying Tatooine mostly, right?
And where did we last see Boba Fett?
Yeah, exactly. But also too is like, when was the last time Luke was on Tatooine? Like after the Empire fell, I'd have to go back and look around a little bit because I know there's like Shattered Empire and stuff, but did he go back to? But that was actually part of this report too, is that none of the original characters are going to be showing up as well. So don't expect to see Han, don't expect to see Luke, don't expect to see Leia, stuff like that.
And
so
James, let's not forget that I think it was Alan Horn who clarified that the idea for The Mandalorian came out of Lucasfilm, sanctioned by Kathleen Kennedy. So they may have had this idea and then Favreau was like, hey guys, I have a lot of ideas about this type of story. And they're like, Jon Favreau? Yep. Come on in.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, guys, I'm super excited about this, but we got something coming up that we just want to make sure everybody's on board with what's going on. That is Star Wars Celebration. We are going to be doing a panel or an episode of the podcast from the podcast, Dave.
What do we call it?
Celebration. Yeah, I don't know. I've been telling people that don't know what I do. I just say it's a panel.
James, we're gonna call it.
It's something different.
We're gonna call it 161A.
Yeah.
We number our episodes for production.
Yeah. So yeah, that's happening, and we wanted to talk a little bit more about it before we wrap up the Resistance report. John, I'm going to shoot it back over to you real quick.
Okay. So I don't want to give away too much, but if you saw the article on Star Wars Newsnet, and if you follow us on Twitter or if you listen on the podcast, we've been kind of sprinkling in our ideas about what we want to do with our panel. But I'll first start off by once again just plugging the thing. So it's 5 days from now on Saturday, April 13th. If you're going to Star Wars Celebration at 6 o'clock. we are performing our podcast. We're doing our podcast on the podcast stage. It is in the first level of McCormick Place West, right there in 193 A and B, the podcast stage. Come join us because we are going to be doing the podcast. And it's, pretty much going to be our show, but we're going to add in new special things because it is going to be live. Like, for example, some of the segments that you may know that we do on the show, we're going to be incorporating you into them to answer some of the questions from the crowd by raising your hand or stuff like that. We're going to be doing live Ask the Resistance, where a few of you are going to be chosen by Miss LG here to come ask a question to us. So start thinking about your questions. If you're coming to our panel, come up with a good one, because if you walk up to us and you get to ask, 3 people out of the room get to ask a question, and you just say, well, what's your favorite Star Wars movie? Kindly leave. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. But no,
that's going to happen, John, now that you've said that.
Yeah, I know. Adam Odell will do it. General. No, but we're also going to be doing a couple discussions. One, obviously, we're going to do a quick reaction to what we saw Friday on the episode 9 trailer and the title and all that stuff. And then we'll look forward to our main discussion, which should be about 15 or 20 minutes, about the future of Star Wars after the Skywalkers. What makes Star Wars to each of us? We each have different takes on that. So we're going to have that discussion among the 3 of us. And then, of course, after our panel... Oh, and we have a lot of swag, too, by the way. A lot of swag. Mm-hmm. Stickers. Wait. All right, Lacey's got it.
Wait.
We got stickers. There's Gary the Porg. We got the Resistance Broadcast Arabesh sticker and Star Wars Newsnet logo sticker. And we have pins. We have Star Wars Newsnet pin. We have the Resistance Broadcast pin. And we have shades, sunglasses, not the goofy ones that James is probably going to put on at some point during this episode. There's Gary again. How adorable is Gary the Pork, by the way, folks? So for those of you listening on the audio, basically how I'm describing it, we have a lot of cool swag out there, and look at our Star Wars Newsnet or on our Twitter account for photos of that stuff. And also, we have sunglasses that we're going to be giving out throughout the convention, so we'll be throwing shade at everybody, literally. And then also we have some exclusive items that we'll be giving away to people in the panel, and we'll get to more of that at the panel. But all I will say is think of questions. That's all I'm going to say. Think of questions, and then be Lacey's favorite, and then you'll find your path. And then also a couple other surprises that we're going to save for the panel itself. But
what are you guys going to do if 3 Kylo cosplayers sit in the audience? I'm going to be like...
Yeah. But we promise a good time, as always. It's going to be our show, but it's going to be a little different because it's going to be live and it's going to be a lot of fun. So remember, 6 o'clock Saturday, April 13th at Star Wars Celebration, the first level in room 193 A and B. And do not forget, after the panel, we're doing a group photo. And then also we're heading to the Hyatt for the Arc Bar after party.
You said it right. I'm so proud.
Yay, it took me 3 weeks. And we're going to be meeting up. We'll be there right after our panel, around 7-ish, a little after. And then at 7:30, I know a lot of other podcasts and bloggers and stuff are going to be joining for the big group get-together that was organized by Dan Zier from Coffee with Kenobi. So thanks, Dan, for setting that up. So we're really excited, guys. What do you want to tell them about our panel? How you feeling? You excited? You nervous? What do you got? This is our last time to really talk about it before we do it. So
I don't care if there's 3 people in there. I want to hear some cheers.
That'd be cool.
I want people to be excited. I want you to be loud.
Wait, James, are you saying TRB chants? TRB.
Yeah.
TRB. TRB.
Oh,
TRB.
no.
TRB.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, yeah. That's what I want. I want a lively thing. I come from the concert world, so let's put on a concert. I want to have some fun.
So James wants a circle pit.
I
Get
don't
that pit
come
going.
from the concert world. I am going to be so awkward. I just hope everyone has a good time, and don't be nervous to say hi, because I promise that I'm more anxious than you.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
I don't know.
true.
I'm like super nervous. It's going to be great though.
Are you guys excited about our
My chest
discussions?
hurts.
One, because we don't know what we're going to talk about episode 9, because we're not going to have seen it until the day before. So it's going to be pretty on the spot what we're talking about.
I can't wait.
Which I like. But
We're going to be like, Jar Jar was a complete surprise.
Yeah.
I did not see...
When he takes off that helmet and it wasn't Kylo Ren at all, it was Jar Jar the whole time underneath the helmet.
man.
Yeah. What if for whatever reason we see another trailer that we thought was the real one?
Yeah, right. We saw
I
the
can't wait to
X-Men,
talk about
but-
whatever the title's going to be and then break it down into details that are unknown.
Yeah.
Don't we already know Fate of the Galaxy that was leaked by us?
Yeah,
right?
if that hits, man, forget about it. But it won't be that, and that's okay. It won't be fart buckets either, though, so that's okay. But I am excited about the other discussion, too, about talking about the future, because we got Rian Johnson movies that are going to be made. We got Benioff and Weiss movies that are going to be made. We have other movies that are going to be made down the line, and talking about what makes a movie a Star Wars movie means a lot to me. I know we all have different thoughts on that, so I'm excited to talk about that and bounce those ideas off each other and let everyone in the audience get our takes on that stuff. And then, of course, interacting with you guys is going to be a great time. So I'm just really excited about it. I know it's going to go well, and we've put a lot of time into this, so we hope you guys really enjoy it. And again, if you don't have anything going on and you listen to the podcast and you're like, oh, maybe I'll try to get over there, come by. Trust me, you're going to have a good time. And tell people that you meet at Celebration, hey, I'm going to check this podcast out. Why don't you come with me? Let's go check this thing out. Grab your friend, arm in arm, like Wizard of Oz, and skip your way down to 193 A and B at McCormick, and let's have a good time.
Absolutely.
Yep. It's going to be so much fun. And I also wanted to, now that we've talked about the podcast, I want to do something that we don't normally do on Monday episodes, but because we had a guest coming on, we had for the Thursday episode, we wanted to move the Patreon podcast to the Monday episode.
Pod race.
So but that's Patreon pod race. That is what it's called. We're gonna be doing that right now. Coming up, we had we get to ask our generals a question once a month or so, or something along those lines, and they get a moment to talk about something that what their thoughts are. And this week we asked our general Carmelo if he had the ability to resurrect a character and bring them back into the franchise, or just say they never died or something, who would that person be? So we're going to send it over to him real quick, and he's going to give us his thoughts.
Hey guys, how you doing? Say hello.
Hello.
My two boys, Melo here. Okay, I'm here in the Star Wars Run Expo, and tomorrow we're running the 5K, then the 10K, and then the half. I'm actually doing the last two by myself, but
Why?
because you're too young.
Oh, I like-
You guys had a question for us, so we're gonna answer. So the question was, from all the dead characters in Star Wars, who would like to return in Episode 9? So, what do you think, Alessandro?
Anakin Skywalker.
Why Anakin Skywalker?
For he can see his son, Luke Skywalker.
So Luke is coming back too?
I guess.
Okay. Well, guys, that's all we have. And because I have a really cranky baby, say hello to baby Luke. This is Alessandro, this is Carmelo, and Viva la Resistance.
So we didn't get Carmelo's thoughts on that.
No, we did not.
But you know what? Hey, you got your time, and that is totally fine with me. Just as long as he's wearing that Thank the Maker shirt. That was the big thing for me. No, he said, or his son said, Anakin.
Yeah.
Was the person that he wanted to bring back. What do you guys think about Anakin coming back for him? No, but at least he's saying no. For
I'm
maybe
saying no, but at the same time, his son was adorable and had a really adorable reason. Yeah. Like, he was like, I want him to see his son, and he's Mello's son, and he's saying that, and it's this wonderful father-son moment.
Yeah.
But no, Anakin is gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you're adorable.
First of all, Mello, I have one son and he's 7 months old, and I feel like I have my hands full sometimes. So you had your hands full there, buddy, and you still were able to do that for us. So thanks for doing that. And also, I agree with Lacey on the Anakin thing. No offense to your boy, but I think, I'm so torn on this, because I think Anakin's end was so perfect and final in Return of the Jedi that any kind of resurfacing in a cameo would kind of ruin that a little bit for me.
Right, it's a disservice.
But at the same time, I feel like if I wind up seeing him on screen, directed by J.J. Abrams, and he does a quick cameo, I'll still be Okay, there he is. He's back. I don't have to be so all or nothing. And
It's what I've always wanted.
I never realized I wanted. Me and Lacey are both going to be crying like, this is the greatest scene ever. Oh my God. So maybe you're onto something there. I'll say Mello Jr. How about that? But Mello, thank you so much for being a general as always. And again, thanks for doing the Patreon Padres. And thank the maker in yellow. I think I kind of dig it.
Yeah, not to mention, I know you killed it in the race too.
Yes. Yeah. For show.
For sure.
He's got ice on his knees right now, I bet, as he's watching.
That's probably true. John, we got some other stuff that was going down.
Speaking
of stuff
of running,
about celebration and other things like that, but we don't have time to talk about them, so I'm going to send it over to you if you don't mind doing a Scoundrels run cast.
James Eloquent Bainey returns. All right, guys. I got a little Chewy here, and he's in a good mood, as you can see. So what we're going to do here, since this is our last episode before Star Wars Celebration, on the count of 23, we're going to punch it. Ready? 1, 2, punch it!
Punch it!
Got him. I love getting these guys. All right, guys. The lottery to enter panels for Star Wars Celebration ends today, folks. So if you haven't entered yet and you have your badges for Star Wars Celebration, you probably each have 8 badges. I'm not sure how that works, but enter them in your lotteries, whether you have a group to join or a single solo entry, whatever. Just enter your panel lotteries today because the announcement will be tomorrow, whether we each got into our panels that we want to get into. So good luck to everybody. And either way, we're going to have a good time. We'll see you at Celebration. Speaking of Celebration, Anthony Daniels finally admits that he's going to Celebration. So that was huge news after months of cryptic tweeting and we don't even know if he actually did the tweeting himself. He may have hired Lacey to do the tweeting for him. I'm not really sure, but either way, cryptic tweeting from Anthony Daniels led to him finally just admitting, okay, yeah, I'm going to Celebration. And we'll see.
Not to mention his last one, his code was broken.
His code was broken.
We've known for a while.
The code was cracked. Yes. Yeah. And he will be attending Celebration, so that's very cool. Guys, Marvel's Vader Dark Shadow continues with number 2. And the comic is out, and a review of that is out on Star Wars Newsnet right now by Star Wars Newsnet writer and reviewer Kyle Larson. So keep up with the comics like I do sometimes by reading Kyle's reviews. Thank you, Kyle, for that. Always gives a good detailed review and brings you into the pages if you don't have the money or time to get the comics yourself. Now, we have a question for Lacey in the rundown real quick. A little rundown away from avoiding the maelstrom type of thing
preview.
Here. Yeah. So
a rundown request.
Rundown request. She's all about the alliteration. So that's perfect. J.G. Kars. So thanks for this. He said, real quick, what's your number 1 tip and must-know information for a first-time Celebration attendee like me? Go, Lacey.
2 things, only because one's an item and one's an actual plan. 1, bring a phone charger, the actual cord, and an actual charger. Sometimes people bring one or the other or forget one. You don't want to be that person sitting on the floor plugging into a random outlet. It's not fun. Bring a phone charger. You're running the mobile app on there. You're tweeting. You're taking photos. You're communicating. You're fighting for Wi-Fi. Like, make sure you bring a charger. On the other side of that, on the planning side, my suggestion to you, and this can be rolled over to a theme park or anything big that can be quite overwhelming as a new person or first-time traveler, pick one thing each day that you have to do, whether it be a panel or buy that certain item or meet that celebrity. Pick one thing that you have to do. Because if you accomplish that one thing, whatever you do after that is bonus. And then you never feel like, oh, I didn't do enough. Because you've already done that one thing. So pick one thing, you won't be overwhelmed, I promise.
Well,
my one thing is do everything.
Nobody asked you, James.
Also, write down your schedule on paper, because if your phone dies, then you're not stressing out. You can even put it on a Post-it and tape it to the back of your badge if you want. That's always a good idea.
That's a good idea. You know what's funny? I know this is still the rundown and we're still in rundown mode here, but people keep asking us for advice for celebration, and like me and James are like, this is what you got to do. And then we're like, wait a minute, we've never been to celebration. What the hell are we talking about? But we are going this week, so we're
Bring
really
a
excited.
phone charger.
Bring a phone charger and bring water bottles and comfortable clothes and deodorant. And, blah,
And if
blah,
you want
blah.
more tips, I have it pinned to the top of my Twitter, @LaceyGillerin. I can give you what to bring.
Yeah, and you
And
paid-
tune in on Thursday. Jeez, DJ Elliott coming on the show.
Coming
giving
on
Yeah,
the
he's more
podcast.
qualified.
to give us all the cool stories behind the scenes, taking you into the celebration experience. DJ Elliott joining us on Thursday, so we're very excited for that. What a way to kick off celebration. We're going to have the DJ of Star Wars Celebration on the podcast.
Woo,
Holy
woo.
cow. Holy cow. All right, guys, that is it for the Scoundrels Rundown. So thank you for coming along the ride with me. Right now, we're going to send it to Lacey Gillerin. And
Oh,
she's going
it's my
speaking
turn.
of questions, she's going to get to your questions right now in our little segment we like to call Ask the Resistance. Lacey, what are they asking this week?
Are you going to say, Chewie, get us out of here?
Oh, God, I forgot Chewie. Come here.
The Scoundrel forgot Chewie.
Chewie, get us out of here.
Does that just go over the actual sound effect?
Oh, I don't know.
All right. We'll find out. It just played. I don't know.
All right, guys, it's time for hashtag Ask the Resistance. You have Star Wars questions. Hopefully, we have some pretty good Star Wars answers.
I've been wondering, what are midichlorians?
So the first question comes from Star Wars Sessions podcast @Star Wars Session. Hey guys, how's it going? And they said, quote, without the Jedi, there can be no balance, end quote. So are we destined to always have Jedi and some opposing force in the galaxy? Or was that Lor Santeca worshipping the Jedi and overstating their importance? I think I'm going to go first. Sorry, I should have said that. I'm going to go first.
Why?
Because ladies go first.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And I'm a lady. So the reason I think, yes, the Jedi will always be there, is because on a personal note, I think, and we'll get into this on Saturday at our panel at 6:00 on the podcast stage, you can't have Star Wars without Jedi in some way or form, whether they're discussed, they're in it, you hear about them. The Force is what drives all of Star Wars. So without the Force and no Jedi, you don't really have a Star Wars to talk about. That being said, I think Rian Johnson in Episode 8, The Last Jedi, really set up that the Jedi will always be around. The message from Luke that, I will not be the last Jedi. The movie ends with a little boy that it clearly is Force sensitive. There's always going to be Jedi. And I think there's always going to be a darkness or an evil that will rise up against it because it seems that the universe is always searching for that balance. So I hope that answers your question. Next is Joshua Bullard at Darth Glucosa. I can never do this
What's
one.
up, Joshua?
Darth Glucosa. All right. And he asks, considering how we last see him in Rebels, do you think we will see more of the Bendu in the future Star Wars content? And in what medium do you see him returning? I'm assuming this is a James question, and it is, because he's a Rebels fan. James, what do you think?
Well, first of all, Joshua Bullard, that's such a dumb name. Just a stupid name. Darth Glucosa, that's dumb too. I bet you wear glasses and work at a speaker company with
Oh, you know him.
me.
Oh
Like a
my-
coworker of yours?
It actually is.
I hope everybody
Yeah.
watching YouTube just saw the dread in my face that I was like, no.
I was like, wait, is James trying to wave that flag that he won that Who's the Most Controversial Member on the podcast by like 80%?
No. Oh yeah, that too.
I
We gotta
voted
talk
for
about
myself
that.
so that it would
Jeez.
seem like someone
Oh,
thought
yeah,
I was
James.
controversial.
James, real quick, I didn't look at the final results, but we held a poll on Twitter and we said who gives the most hot takes / controversial takes in the podcast, and I think James got like 75% of the vote, and Lacey and I split like 15 each or something like
Which-
that.
Really? 15?
Which is-
Well,
I
I
think-
really got
yeah.
14 because one of those is mine.
Well, it wasn't like 100 people voted, you know.
Yeah. Which I think the reason I won is because it was funny. It's currently
You called
the
them
hot
cowards.
topic. Yeah.
That's
And I've
why.
said some things about Kenobi that's saying like, oh, he's not necessarily my favorite character. And people are like, controversial.
Oh, yeah, and you said Michael Giacchino was better than John Williams.
That's not controversial. That's just fact. No, I'm just kidding. No. I
You
love John
already
Williams.
won, James. You don't have to prove it.
Yeah.
James is going to get booed at our panel.
No, it was
Get off the
a one-time John Williams thing versus a one-time Michael Giacchino thing. All right, let's get on to this dummies question, Josh Bullard. About Rebels and stuff. Yeah, I actually do think Bendu will come back at some point, and I think the reason is because we talked about this with JJ, and it's a JJ character, right? This is a Dave Filoni character, and if Dave Filoni is sticking around in the Star Wars world, which I predict that he probably will, at some point down the line, he will have a place to put a character that doesn't even really have like a lifetime or a lifespan. He's more of like an entity. He's more of like a story driver and a connecting piece that you could say, oh my gosh, that's the Bendu. I can't believe this character that is new to us, that we're getting in this new series or whatever, is interacting with the Bendu, who also interacted with Kanan and Ezra and all this other stuff. So I definitely think that the Bendu will be back in some way at some point. And you're my friend, Josh. I was just joking earlier.
What a nice guy. What a nice guy.
Great answer. Next is Kylo Ren verse Mask at verse_Ren. And
What a great
they
handle
ask,
for our opening topic.
I know. They ask, hi guys. Hello. What would be the coolest way for episode 9 to open? I.e., what would you most like to see in the opening scene? John, what do you think is going to be the opening scene?
I probably should have thought about this before, but I didn't.
I think we're going to tilt down to a planet and there's going to be some sort of battle going on.
Lacey, nobody cares what you think.
Okay,
Wait,
fair
pan
enough.
up, pan down? What are we doing here?
Lacey just going under the desk again. Oh, she's back. I was kidding about that, Lacey, of course. Everyone cares what you think, especially me.
They always start with a tilt.
That's
what I said. Pan up, pan down.
If I had to say, let's
Pans
put it this
left
way.
to right.
If I had to compare Act 3 in the original trilogy and Act 3 in the prequel trilogy, Act 3 in the original trilogy started with a shot of the new Death Star and then the approaching ship that had Darth Vader on it, and you heard some new music, and it was kind of slow and slow approach. And then you had Episode 3, and it was probably the most chaotic opening of a Star Wars movie ever, with that battle. And then you go past the ship, and it's even a bigger war going on, absolute chaos. So I would like to think JJ's going to go big here. I don't think, because he did a very slow approach in The Force Awakens where we had the ship and the moon and then the shuttle came down. I think he's going to go full action to kick this thing off. I think we're going to be in the midst of some kind of war. I think it's going to be Resistance versus First Order. I think we're going to see maybe even Kylo Ren versus Rey having their first battle early in this movie to set the tone here. And it's going to be like, wow, we are getting shot out of a cannon to start episode 9. And I
the
couldn't
kitchen
think,
sink will be there.
and I couldn't think, what's that? Who?
The kitchen sink.
Oh, I thought you said
like just everything.
I thought you said In Sync. I'm like, oh, they're finally going to make it into a Star Wars movie. How about that?
Merry Christmas.
No, but I really think they're just going to kick this thing in a high gear, and I would like to see a big action scene, like we're just dropping into the middle of it. Instead of just doing a slow build. So that's how I would love to see it. And then kick off the 3-hour epic. And James goes and gets me popcorn at 2 hours and 39 minutes. And then you have it. But no, Kylo Ren versus Mask. Let me know what you think in the comments. What would you like to see the opening for episode 9? And everybody watching, listening, let us know in the comments and on Twitter what you think you want to see in the beginning of episode 9. And maybe we'll get a glimpse of that in that trailer. We'll be able to see, oh, was that at the beginning of the movie, the end of the movie? And we'll all go nuts speculating after 5,000 times watching that trailer. But we're only 5 days away. But thank you so much for the question. And I hope my answer was decent enough for you.
Absolutely. So we're going to do a quick
Shut up.
a quick Star Wars Celebration Chicago question rundown. A hashtag Ask the Resistance rundown. Okay, great. So we'll start with Scott J. Rowe. Hey, Scott. And he asks, what books do you think will get announced at Star Wars Celebration Chicago? I'm hoping for another certain point of view book for The Empire Strikes Back. I'm going to start Ben Solo. Next.
James, what do you think?
I hope that a certain point of view for The Empire Strikes Back doesn't get announced. I mean, it'd
Scotty,
be cool,
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, it'd be cool, I'm sure, but I wasn't like a big fan of the first one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so I found it hard to read.
I have to agree with that. I'm not. I wasn't a huge fan of some of those stories either. If I had to guess, what books do I think will get announced? Thrawn 3. Because Timothy Zahn will be there. He's doing a couple of panels. I think Timothy Zahn is sleeping at the McCormick Center, if I understand that correctly. He's the only person allowed to sleep. So it's going to be just him on that concrete floor in a sleeping bag that is blue in tribute to Thrawn. So that's the latest rumor on the street. But I think Thrawn 3 will be announced at Celebration. And I'll just say...
Quick answers.
Book it.
Next is Lauren Romo, who asks, what smaller panels are you looking forward to attending? John, we'll start with you.
The Resistance broadcast?
Okay, outside of us.
I'm kidding. Jeez. How about the Star Wars Archives panel on Sunday? The guy who did the Star Wars Archives book, not J.W. Rensler, who's my favorite, but the recent Star Wars Archives book. I want to check that panel out because I love finding out about the history of making of the franchise.
James?
I don't know, man. I'm kind of on the journey. Lacey, like whatever you want to go to is like the thing that I'll go to. I'm just honestly, what? Because you're kind of writing the itinerary, so like I don't know. There's some stuff like I'm kind of interested.
Well, that's
in
fabulous because
stuff.
Sunday we're gonna go to the shipping panel.
Oh no. But also the Schmodown stuff. I like the trivia and the people competing and stuff like that. And I always like to see them go back and forth. So if anybody has any chance to head over to the Collider stuff, I'm down with that.
Yeah, and it's not necessarily a smaller panel per se, but we're really excited for Clayton's panel, which is Friday at 7:30. Which is about like covering Star Wars as a news organization or a blogger. We just love Clayton, so we'll always support
it's like 5:30, I think.
Oh, sorry, my bad. Check the schedule.
It's at time.
Next is
she gave the Pacific time.
Next is Darth Hurricane, who asks, "Are any of you going to cosplay during Celebration?" Well, Darth, it's funny. Before we got into this chat tonight, I was talking about what I should be packing. I am strongly considering bringing my Rey cosplay. I don't know if I'm going to, but if you think I should, tweet to me. Otherwise, I'm coming as myself. But we'll see.
How about in the comments, hashtag Lacey B. Ray.
Hashtag.
I'm not cosplaying. I am being as minimalist as possible. I may get some gel inserts for my sneakers so I'm comfortable. So if that's a cosplay, then yes, I'm cosplaying at Star Wars Celebration.
He's cosplaying as a bro.
I'm cosplaying as a comfortable person.
Yeah, I'm hoping that one day I'll be able to create a character for Star Wars. And if that is the case, I will go back and look at what I was wearing at Celebration so that I could say I was cosplaying back then.
As yourself?
No, as I was cosplaying as whatever character I create that wears the same clothes I was wearing at Celebration to make it look like.
James is ready for Bill and Ted 3. That's all we know.
Yes. That is how I understand things. That's how I understand life. Be excellent to each other and party on, dudes.
Nice. Well, guys, thank you so much for your questions. If you want to be on the show, which might be next week, might not, send it to us on Twitter at RBATSWNN or with hashtag AskTheResistance, and you could be selected to be on the show. And if you are, I get to read your handle, I read your question, we talk about it, you get a little shout out. Yeah.
Or you can join Patreon at the general level.
Or you
Shout out to Mello.
or you could. Back to you, John.
Okay, guys, that brings us to the end of our final episode before Star Wars Celebration. I can't believe I
need to
just
pack.
said that. I cannot believe I just said that. But
Wow.
either way, I do want to thank everybody who has been listening to the Resistance broadcast from its beginning to when me and James joined to when Lacey joined. We've grown this thing into a wonderful community, and a lot of that is thanks to you guys for keeping us, our community, a very positive place, and the whole Star Wars Newsnet family as well. So I hope to see as many of you guys as possible on Saturday. And once again, let's plug it, guys. We're looking at this Saturday at Star Wars Celebration, April 13th, 6 p.m. on the podcast stage. That is on the first floor of McCormick in 193 A and B. 193 A and B. So we hope to see you guys Saturday at our panel. And again, bring your friends who you meet at Celebration. Just grab them, bring them along. Let's pack that room up, okay? It's going to be a good time. Thank you to everybody who subscribes to us. And make sure if you haven't yet, do that on iTunes, SoundCloud, Spotify, and YouTube. Make sure you check out our Patreon page, patreon.com/Resistance Broadcast. We have 5 tiers, exclusive stuff. We're even going to be putting exclusive stuff in addition to our free coverage on YouTube. A lot of fun behind the scenes stuff that we're going to be doing right on our Patreon page. So be sure to join up. Now would be the time. If you are going to sign up, join us over there. It starts at $2 a month at the page access level. I want to thank StarWarsNewsNet.com. That is our website for all of your latest news, reviews, editorials, information, and more. Thank you to our editor-in-chief, Val Trichkoff, for giving us all these opportunities and being such a great supporter of ours, and also being one of our Patreon generals. And salute you, sir, as always. And thank you to our other Patreon generals. We have Adam Odell, Carmelo, Brian Shalito, Don Boring, Aaron Quinton, and he said he's sticking with Quinton, so he doesn't have to torture Lacey with his other last name. So there you go.
My bad.
Thank you guys so much, and thanks again to all of our patrons. You guys are great, and thanks to all of our listeners out there and supporters. You guys are the absolute best. Thank you so much. And if you haven't gotten swag yet, it's probably too late to get swag to wear at Star Wars Celebration, but head to tpublic.com and check out Resistance Broadcast. We have a lot of stuff there, including Thank the Maker right here. All right, guys, you guys can find me, John Hoey, at Johnny Hoey, and writing and editing over at StarWarsNewsNet.com and at Star Wars Celebration Chicago this weekend. See you guys there. James, how about you?
You can find me and my furry friend at Ichupa.
Is that Wicket?
Yeah, I don't know. It's an Ewok.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. He's an Ewok. I'm pretty sure it's probably Wicket. He died. He got blown up by a laser beam. You can actually find me at Meyer Trunks, and you can find me at Star Wars Celebration. So look for me there.
Raylo fan 42069.
That is also my fan art account.
Lacey?
Everyone can find me on Twitter at Lacey Gillerin, where I'll share some helpful tips and tricks leading up to Celebration, as well as giving you live coverage and updates of all the Kylo Rens and much more all weekend long, and also probably live tweeting from at Star Wars Newsnet. Make sure to follow those accounts as well. And then I really like TikTok, so if anybody wants to follow me on there, I'm at Lacey Gillerin. I make funny videos.
Oh my God.
I know.
TikTok. Speaking of TikTok, we are up against it here. So guys, thank you so much for listening, stopping by. We hope you got yourself excited and ramped up for Star Wars Celebration. And if you're not going to Star Wars Celebration, just a reminder, we got you covered. Star Wars Newsnet and our YouTube channel, Star Wars Newsnet and the Resistance Broadcast. We got all the coverage and reactions and entertainment you want, so stick with us. And until after Celebration is when we'll be back on our normal format. So until then, enjoy all the news coming out, enjoy Celebration, enjoy Star Wars, enjoy your lives, and we'll see you soon on the other side of it right here on the Resistance Broadcast. We'll see you around, kids.